I was around 18 years old at the time, and my boyfriend and I had been together for about 8 months. I ended things with him because it started to affect my relationship with my parents, to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore. They were treating me differently, and the pressure was affecting both my relationship with him and with them. It became too much, so one night, I broke up with him. About a week later, he showed up at my parents' house wanting to talk to me. My mom answered the door, but I wanted no part of it, so she told him to leave. At first, he got belligerent, but eventually left. My mother still felt uneasy, so she called the police. A few moments later, they pulled him over, gave him a warning, and let him go. One day, my dad was at work, and my mom had taken my sister out somewhere. I was home alone playing Mario Party 8 on the Wii when I heard a knock coming from the back door. I glanced over from the couch, and there he was, staring in through the glass, trying to talk to me. I ignored him because I didn't want anything to do with him. Unfortunately, he didn't take that well, as he snapped and slammed his shoulder into the door until the frame was cracked. He did it again, and the door burst open. "What are you doing?" I yelled at him. He ignored my question and just rushed in, grabbed me, then threw me over his shoulder and carried me outside. At first I thought maybe he was going to put me in the front seat and drive off with me, but then he hit the trunk release on his car key, and that's when I realized what was about to happen. I twisted and squirmed, which caught him off guard, so he dropped me. That didn't stop him, as he got me in a headlock tight enough that I couldn't breathe. I stopped struggling, and he threw me into the trunk, slammed it shut, and drove off. Inside the trunk, I was panicking, doing everything I could to break out. It was a Buick LeSabre, and there was no trunk release on the inside. I started kicking the back of the seats until I got one loose enough to wedge my head through. I finally caught a breath of air. It was August, so it was over 95 degrees outside and easily 110 inside the trunk. When I managed to pull myself into the back seat, he didn't freak out. By then, he had calmed down a bit, and I knew he just wanted to talk. What I didn't know was that while he was stuffing me in the trunk, the neighbor kids had seen everything and ran inside and told their parents, who immediately called the police. The police called my mom, and she heard the news. She was flying down the highway at 95 miles per hour to get home. He drove me an hour and a half away to an old camp he used to visit, and we talked for a while, and then I told him I was hungry. He took me to Pizza Hut, and I remember sitting there, barefoot, waiting for a pizza, wondering why no one around us seemed to notice anything strange. No one said a word, and I figured my parents hadn't realized what happened yet, but I was wrong. Turns out that an Amber Alert had already gone out. Eventually, he told me he didn't want to go to jail. His plan was to go back to his place where he lived and worked and get his shotgun to off himself. But when we got there, the police were already waiting. They tried to taser him, but they missed. He then jumped back into his car, did a backwards U-turn, and took off. He was flying through the city going 60 to 85 miles per hour. He was about to get on the highway, but police had it blocked off with spike strips, so he veered off onto a back road and crashed into a tree. Mind you, when all of this was going on, I was in the front seat. The cops then swarmed the car and pulled us both out. They didn't know who we were yet, so they cuffed us both and put us in separate police cars. Once they figured out the situation, they uncuffed me, moved me to a police SUV, and took me back to the station in my city. My parents and sister were already there, terrified, but relieved when they saw I was okay. They arrested him, and he was sentenced to 4 years in prison.